Hassan majorly shits the bed on Piers Morgan? Does he shit the bed? I've mostly seen people celebrating him, but, you know, Hassan glazing for bad reasons has been known to happen. It was so bad. He was so... Oh, I've only heard positive stuff on social media. He lost his temper big time. Well, my chat does have an anti-Hassan bias.
Well, the war in Gaza has incensed communities across the world. Many Jewish people say they don't feel safe on the streets of Western cities. Many Muslims feel the horror facing innocent Palestinians is treated only as a second-class concern. And as with any emotive cause, a lot of people...
It's not like hate crimes against Muslims aren't also up. Okay, so let's see. What's the structure? What's the laydown? Hassan comes in at the 10-minute mark. Crackhead Barney takes on... Am I misunderstanding the tone of this show? Am I comedy show? Okay, well, we're not going over that. Panel reacts to crackhead and harassment of famous people. That's what they brought Hassan in on? Ooh, trimmed up. Looking good. Proportions, you know? Looking very, symmetrical. Okay. Do-do-do-do-do. And that looks like from this point forward, it's actual politics. Okay, nice. All right, well, we're skipping the stupid bullshit at the beginning, that's for sure. Panel reacts to crackhead. You know what? Take it away. Go for it.
Ali Baldwin. All right. I think we've heard enough of crackhead, to be honest with you. All right, let's bring in my panel. Streamer Hassan Piker, journalist Emily Austin, uncensored contributor Esther Kraku, and podcaster James Barr. Well, Emily, I mean, on one level, I guess it was quite funny, but on another level, I didn't like what she did to Alec Baldwin. I've got no truck for Alec Baldwin whatsoever.
Is that the lady who ate Alec Baldwin? Yeah? Okay.
And I think with this case that he's got hanging over him, I hope that justice is served, because ultimately he did fire the gun that killed that poor woman and has been on some kind of weird PR tour ever since. But I don't like to see any public figure, whether it's Eric Adams, the mayor, on a plane, or Alec Baldwin getting a coffee, harangued and harassed in that manner. Now, I tried to conduct a serious interview. She obviously wasn't interested in doing that, wanted to turn the whole thing into a foul-mouthed rant. But what is of public figures?
You tried to conduct a serious interview with crackhead Barbie?
And that's all we need. And we're moving on to the beginning of the Gaza war protest section. Thank you, Hassan.
Not only performative, but public demonstrations at universities in America are performative. The ones who are chanting their support for...
I'll come back
to
just doing it in a different way.
No, it's a preposterous suggestion. I do not do what she does, right? But Hassan, here's the point I would make to you. A lot of people think a lot of these protesters at universities in America are performative. The ones who are chanting their support for Hamas.
Incredibly stupid thing to say up front. It is a protest. It is literally a performance. That is the point of a protest. You're not doing it privately in your home. The point of a protest is to go out and make noise and show public support. That is a performance. That is what they are about. That is what they do. That is the entire point. Just very silly.
The ones who are chanting about intifada and pretending it's not about a violent uprising. I mean, do you accept that a lot of that is not only performative, but public demonstration of support for terrorism?
First of all, the intifadas aren't just terrorism. They're uprising. That's different. You can, regardless of how you feel about the intifadas broadly, the idea that they're terrorist, you could describe them as terrorism is just not the case. Terrorism took place in them, but that would be like referring to any independence movement which contained terrorism as terrorism itself. It's just ridiculous.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, the second one was more violent than the first one.
I don't think that, I mean, all protests are technically performative, obviously, but there's a very clear-cut goal for the group of students at Columbia and many other universities. I was in Melbourne not that long ago, and I attended a Palestinian protest there, a Palestinian rally there, and the students there were also demanding the exact same thing, that they divest, their colleges divest from a lot of the companies that are aligned with the state of Israel, a lot of the companies that are directly involved in operations in the West Bank, a lot of the...
Just to be clear, because I have a feeling this is going to come up again. My understanding, and please forgive me if I'm not, like, aware of all the details here, because I'm not. My understanding is that the first Intifada was, like, a widely supported uprising by the Palestinian people, and that's where we get a lot of our, like, people throwing rocks at tanks meme. The idea of, like, you know, Israel sending a massive military crackdown in response to something that was pretty broadly, you know, like a general uprising. Obviously, people died. I'm not saying that these things are peaceful, but, you know, military occupation does that, right? And then the second Intifada was when a lot more of the, like, jihadist tendencies came in, where you started to see, like, suicide bombings, car bombings, aftermath of a Palestinian suicide bombing. We also have, of course, the classic rock on tank, you know, the classic dynamic here. The second Intifada had a lot more of the, like, sort of Islamist, optically damaging stuff in it, if that makes any sense, you know? People died in both, but more people died in the second Intifada by a decent amount, I believe. Suicide bombing, stone throwing, and rocket I like the juxtaposition here. Palestinians engaged in gunfights, suicide bombings, stone throwing, and rocket attacks. It's like those joke lists where one thing isn't like the other. During the first few weeks of the uprising, the ratio of Palestinians to Israeli killed was about 20-1. But that was just the first few weeks. It went on for a while. Like, a while. Like years. Yeah. Anyway, I reject referring to both of these collectively as terrorism. They were uprisings, the second of which contained terrorism as a strategy. I disagree with the use of any kind of, like, indiscriminate violence against civilians under any circumstances, which is why I oppose the Israeli state. Moving on.
The companies that are playing a role in the regular maintenance of the apartheid regime of Israel and helping Israel conduct an ethnic cleansing campaign. That is the ultimate goal. That is why they're trying to very clearly cause a little bit of a disruption and engage in...
But are you comfortable? Okay, but are you comfortable,
the most American thing you can do?
Are you comfortable with the ones who are seen chanting support for Hamas or chanting about Intifada?
I am perfectly comfortable.
Yes. Lonerbox mentioned that the IDF was frustrated during the first Intifada because the restraint of Palestinian resistance made it hard to justify themselves acting like barbarians. Yes, yeah. This is what, okay, unironically, pardon me for being a liberal here, unironically, this is one of the reasons why nonviolent resistance is almost always more effective in cases where you don't have the ability to literally win the fight. And that's because, after the first Intifada, like, the world supported Palestine. Now, I'm overstating a bit. It made the Palestinians look really good. It was a massive crackdown from Israel on what was very obviously a civilian uprising. And the second Intifada, look, people don't like suicide bombings, okay? Suicide bombings are very bad optically. If you're running into, like, civilian buildings or at civilian, like, traffic lines with bombs strapped to your chest, it's not gonna make you look good. Which is one of the reasons why, as we know, Netanyahu enjoyed having Hamas as the primary representative of the Palestinians. Because having, like, insane Islamist jihadists as your primary opposition, you know, you get to point to them and go like, hey, look, these guys are crazy. So actually, we need to do all these big military crackdowns. I mean, I'm okay with suicide bombing against military targets, not civilians. In general, people just don't like suicide bombings. People in the Western world, at least, like, clearly many in the Muslim world are fine with them. But yeah, obviously, like, military targets, way more justifiable. Yeah. The second Intifada was kind of a result of getting nothing done after the push from the first. Yeah, well, that's what happens, right? You know, it's the whole, like, those who make peaceful resistance ineffective make violent resistance inevitable, or whatever the quote is. What was it, JFK? Though obviously the violent resistance hasn't worked in favor of the Palestinians either. Sorry, Benjamin.
With people chanting about the Intifada. As far as the Hamas thing goes, any kind of protest is always going to have a litany of random people, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. You have to look at the actual tangible goals that the protest movement is stating they're interested in. And I think that those goals, and I think you will agree with me on this, Piers, I think those goals are pretty valid overall. I think that they...
pretty good rhetoric from Hassan out the gate.
Want to, one, recenter the attention to the genocide that is ongoing in Gaza, and two, demand that their tuition dollars do not go to operations in Israel. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a campus. There's going to be a sister campus that is being built in Tel Aviv right now for Columbia University. This means that Columbia University, which once housed the likes of the late great Edward Said and many others, and that currently has many Palestinian students who pay tuition for projects such as this one, will not be able to go to that sister campus. I find that abhorrent, but it's everyday existence in Israel.
Let me bring it.
I'd say that was a pretty excellent opening from Hassan. You know, I'd say that was pretty good and well measured. So we'll see how it goes.
Let me bring in Emily. You've been listening to all this. Your response?
With all due respect,
You are very shiny, miss. Like distractingly shiny, I have to say. Like very like you got to put sunscreen on before you look at this lady. I think she's a Zionist. Oh, okay.
Hassan, why do you feel that Columbia, or any college for that matter, owes you to divest from Israel? Why do you think?
But negative IQ opening? What does that even? What does that even mean?
Your opinion is correct, because so far I heard the classic buzzwords: apartheid, discriminatory, ethnic cleansing, and genocide, which is funny because it's all the exact opposite. So if I may ask you, what about Israel is apartheid? You also just said the students in Israel...
That's a pretty easy point to defend, considering the state of the West Bank. That's a pretty easy... I love my Israeli only roads, you know, or my Jewish only roads. I mean, not even to speak of the Gaza Strip and Israel broadly, you know.
The campus in Israel would not allow Palestinians to join. Are you confused, or do you know nothing about the country of Israel? Because let me remind you, Jews are not allowed in the West Bank and Gaza. However, Arabs have full Israeli citizenship, have the rights, are members of the Knesset, which is the equivalent of, you can think of Congress. And
did you skip something in the vid? Did Hassan even say apartheid? I don't even know if he did, but I did skip a bit. It kind of sounds like she's on autopilot though, because she's just saying stuff, you know? Yeah, that's true, dude. The West Bank, famously an area that Jews don't go into. That's very true. That's so true. That's so true, you know? Lots of famous UN rulings on how infrequent, impossible even
prosecuted a former Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, an Arab judge. So what apartheid exactly are you speaking about? What genocide? What ethnic cleansing? And secondly, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you say it's okay to talk about an intifada? Let me remind you, the intifada, last time it happened in Israel, consisted of thousands of people dying.
Did he even talk about it? Piers Morgan talked about it. He barely even... Did he even talk about that? Like, Piers Morgan mentioned it as one of the things the protesters talked about. He didn't... I don't think he really engaged with that point. He said intifada means revolution, which is true. That is what it means, like, in the dictionary, as I understand it.
In bus bombing. So are you saying that you support terrorism and killing innocent people?
Dude, how does Hassan lose this? Like, I'm not saying that rhetorically as though I believe he already has. What I'm saying is, how does anyone look at this lady and support her under any circumstances, you know? Like, can you not see? His statement was completely level. She sounds like an unhinged lunatic.
Well, intifada simply just means revolution, and I'm an American, and in 1776,
violent
we did
revolution.
one of those, and it was pretty good. Yeah. What do you think? The American?
Okay,
do you think the American Revolution
we
was a
also
political
bombed
party?
Hiroshima. We also bombed Hiroshima.
Don't. Yeah, I know, and that was also unjust and unimaginably cruel. But of course,
what does that have to do with an intifada? What is that? She's just saying shit, man.
Of course, the Israel Defender is also defending nuking civilians and killing them by the hundreds of thousands. Now listen,
I don't think she defended that.
Your narrative is justified, but when it goes against it, it's unjust.
Let's refocus the conversation to the points that you made. Let's refocus the conversation to the points that you made.
Okay,
you said,
just to remind everybody, I'm actually moderating this, but that's an interesting point that Emily just raised, Hassan. It does seem that you're very selective about the violence that you support. That when you...
She didn't raise any points, and that wasn't what she said either. She didn't say that. That wasn't a thing she said. She just like NPC responded and yapped. Like she didn't...
support it is justified. When other people use things in a violent way that you don't support, it's unjustified.
Yeah, wow, that's Hassan, you seem to believe that good things are good and bad things are bad. Would you mind explaining this contradiction to your belief? Hassan, it seems to me that sometimes you think it's good when things happen, but at other points in time you think it's bad when things happen. Now, I can't wrap my head around this. Wouldn't a consistent person believe that literally all things are good or all things are bad?
Seems like it's all skewed to what Hassan Piker thinks. That
is how ethics works. Yes, that is how cognition works. I really like it with debate. This is, oh man, I sure do miss debates, man, where the people you're talking to are so that within like 3 questions you're already back to like the basic like meta-ethical justification of cognition. You seem to believe the things that you think. Yes. What? Yeah, you're defining like the in no time, just instantly, like you're right back to the very beginning. You're like Greek sophists, like in a cave, gesturing vaguely at each other, trying to. Oh my God.
Well, not necessarily just what I think. I think that there are obvious markers, obvious boundaries. I don't think violence against civilians is justified. I've talked about October 7 on this very same show, saying that it was a tragedy. It was atrocities that occurred on October 7 specifically. When you target civilians in any capacity, I think that that is unacceptable. However, this does not mean that violence will not occur in many circumstances. Violence has occurred in every single revolutionary action, many good revolutionary actions. Obviously, America bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki with an atom bomb, that was not a very good moment
Hamas did on October the 7th.
Anybody. It was not a very good moment for
Hassan literally just said that he thought that targeting civilians was bad, and then immediately afterwards said, I've talked about October 7th. Was that not like a direct, okay.
Civilization at all.
Was what Hamas did on October the 7th, was what Hamas did on October the 7th an example of what you would call a justified revolution?
I don't look at every single act of violence.
Okay, so here's a mistake from Hassan, okay? And this one is difficult, all right? I think that Hassan, so any answer that isn't a yes or a no would come across as, I think, waffling. It doesn't matter what he's about to say. It comes across as waffling. I think he should say, I think it was unjustified, but an inevitable product of Israeli oppression and apartheid. I think that the broader revolutionary movement from Palestinians, the overall goal, is one that I support. Of course, I don't defend every single individual action, nor would I ask dumb bitch over here to my left to defend every single Palestinian child whose skull has been caved in, you know? We're talking about the broader movement here, the broader intentions. In any large like civilizational conflict, there's going to be unfortunate actions that you don't have to defend.
You've literally just been reciting a whole load of them.
Of oppression.
Why are you avoiding October the 7th?
See, now Piers Morgan is being dishonest here, but that dishonesty is something that you have to account for preemptively with the perceived waffling.
Do it too.
No, I don't.
I'm not avoiding it. I've talked about it a million times over.
Let me ask you one more time.
This is not what we're here to discuss.
Emily, hang on.
This is not what we're here to discuss.
Hassan, let me just ask you directly one more time. Let me ask you one more time. Do you believe what happened on October the 7th was a justified act of revolution? Yes or no?
I do not, and I do think that. Oh, wait, hold on. That's let me clarify. Let me clarify something very important here. Events that unfolded on October 7th were atrocities. That much is clear. Those atrocities could have been avoided if Israel was not an apartheid regime. Israel has been an apartheid regime for 75 years.
Can you answer how Israel's an apartheid regime?
In the early,
he can't. He's literally getting 2-on-1 right now. I think that Hassan's answer here is correct. I think the way that he delivers this here, the tone with which he delivers it, is critical. And I think that he could have delivered it better. But I think what he's saying is correct.
No, you can't just chime in. You can't just chime in. You ask me a question. You want it?
Why
you ask me a question. I'm going to give you an answer.
Because you're repeating
Israel
these lies.
has been an apartheid regime since
please.
its inception until 1967.
So I don't think Hassan should take the bait here. I think he should say, sorry, I'm talking to the moderator right now, and then continue with the original point. The only way to effectively deal with a 2-on-1 or any kind of like when you're being overwhelmed with bad faith questions and inquiries is to ignore everyone but one person. And when other people try to interrupt you, you go, excuse me, I'm talking to this person, one at a time, wait your turn. Yeah, so I think that I that's the only way to do it, unless it's just a shouting match, and at that point you just insult people. But we're not there yet.
Israel was an apartheid regime for the Palestinian citizens of Israel, the Arabs, as you called them. There was a two-tier criminal justice system. They were subjected to military court processes and not the civil court processes until 1967. After 1967, they got citizenship. There are obviously still many different social issues that pertain to the Palestinian citizens of Israel, the Arabs that are living in Israel, those who are not Jewish, of course.
However, I think it's really cool how the only way you can get a good skyline for the for Los Angeles is to do like camera trickery, because to a normal human eye, the downtown area would be about 1/20th this size when viewed from this point at Griffith Park. You know, we're doing like camera lens trickery. In reality, downtown is just a little blotch on an infinite like concrete skyscape, and then you have the Griffith Park Observatory.
However, Israel currently is occupying the West Bank. There are more than 2 million Palestinians that live in the West Bank. Israel's illegally occupying the West Bank. There are checkpoints. There are license plates that restrict Palestinian travel. The Israeli operations in the West Bank have destroyed Palestinian statehood. Now, of course, all of this is readily available for those who want to learn about it, yourself included. I hope you look it up. B'Tselem is an Israeli human rights organization which declared Israel to be an...
Sorry, I really hate LA, and I just don't want it to be represented positively. There you go. Look at how dystopian that looks, by the way. That's what it's actually like. And trust me, the downtown area is not that big once you actually get up to the observatory. This is what it looks like here. Okay? Well, I say here like I'm in LA. I'm not, but you know. Like look at the landscape. Look at that. It's just all around you. Yeah, it looks like an apocalypse. Admittedly, it's a cloudy day. It's pretty rare in LA for there to be clouds, so, you know. Maybe this is a more fair representation on a sunny day. But you can still see that you have to use like camera lens trickery, which they're doing here too. How are there any photos that don't do that to the background? That just honestly represent the relative distance? I don't know. It's blighted, man. Look at that. This is like a landmark too. Look at that. Yo, it's fucking Fallout. It's Fallout 3. Yo. Probably, Annie. Oh, wait, wait. The Fallout show happens in LA? Yes? Oh, I didn't know that. That's kind of nice. Maybe I'll enjoy... I knew it was somewhere in, like, the NCR territories. I didn't know it was LA.
Apartheid regime in 2021, in the April of 2021, Amnesty International declared Israel to be an apartheid regime.
Let me, before I move, hang on. Before I just want to bring in our two British panelists here, but just finally, just to clarify, Hassan, I can't quite work out whether you said you do think October the 7th was...
He explicitly said... Piers Morgan loves to do this, where he thinks he has a gotcha question, and he'll, like, if you just answer it, he'll just pretend he didn't hear you and then like get insistent and make it sound like you're weaseling by not answering the thing you directly said.
It was an unjustified act of revolution, or whether you change your mind. So can you clarify?
I think that
was good from Hassan. I'm not joking. The audible sigh.
Violent means of maintaining an apartheid is inevitably going to yield violent retaliation.
So was it justified?
Something that is completely avoidable.
Was it justified?
Civilian deaths are never just...
He should just say, like, no, because it led to mass civilian death. And if we wanted to prevent this, blah, 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 you give the no, then the explanation. Because if you give the explanation first, it makes it seem like you have to be pressured to give the no, and it makes you look more like spineless.
Justified.
You know what, Hassan?
Hang on, Emily.
You look Hirsch, Poland's mother in the eyes. No, you look this person's mother in the eyes. And
Jesus Christ, this bitch is demonic. This is like every Zionist influencer is a Hitlerite ghoul. Christ. Oh my God. Insane.
You tell him that this was justified. You tell him his arm being blown off and being held in captivity for 200 days is justified.
I do love that the Israel defender has no capacity to fucking hear anything I'm saying.
Palestinians who are made of identity.
Let me find like 40,000 Palestinian corpses on my phone here to show you and ask you how you feel about each one.
If you're not going to respect me and listen to what I have to say...
Honestly, if I was him, I think I would just ignore her. And if Piers Morgan called me out for ignoring her, I would say, like, she's literally saying nothing. Like, what do you want me to do to respond? Like Jangle Keys? Do you want me to, like, show on my phone a bunch of photos of mass graves being dug out just a few days ago of Palestinians? What? Oh, like genuinely. Is there, like, a chew toy, perhaps, we could distract her with? Like, it's ridiculous. It's like, it's arguing with a child. A shiny-faced child. I think you could insult her at this point.
Day,
the West
which, by the
Bank.
way, of course you don't respect.
Occupied Gaza.
Well, if you talk over each other, nobody can hear you.
What do you mean I think? It's not I think. It's not I think. It's the entire world knows.
No, it is you think.
Hang on, Emily, please.
Your narrative.
Let me handle this, Emily. Hassan, just before I come to the two people who are with me here, I just need some clarity here because it seems like you're dancing around whether you.
Oh my God! Hassan charging at Piers Morgan with a gigantic brand, saying no.
Think October the 7th.
Do you condemn Hamas? I couldn't quite hear your last 50. So I forgot to mention before we began this segment, I am legally deaf. Now, could you please...
was justified or not?
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this back and forth masturbation? I've already given you my fucking
Piers,
position.
Why are you doing this?
I'm sick and tired of repeating it over and over again.
Okay.
I think he could calm down a little bit here. I think he should do more exasperation and less anger, you know? More condescension and exasperation, less anger, I think, a little bit. But his response here isn't unwarranted.
Just ask this, it's okay.
Ask this
Emily,
demon
stop
next to me.
Oh no! Oh no! He pointed the wrong way. He didn't know. He can't see. He can't see where he is in the thing.
Fucking IDF dog
Only
tag.
when it's Jews, it's okay.
Please
Ask
stop
this
shouting
fucking
at each
demon next
other.
to me wearing an IDF dog
There we
tag
go.
if she actually thinks Israel's actions are
bring them
justifiable.
home.
Do you
it's
see
to
me
bring the
rocking
hostages
fucking...
home. The hostages
All right,
that you
you're talking
rightly
over each
believe
other.
belong in
All
the
right, you know what it
tunnels of
is.
Gaza.
I'm going to give you two.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you two calm down. It's pointless. We cannot hear you when you talk over each other.
Troll people.
Every time recently, I have someone from both sides on.
Why was anyone in chat saying that it was an issue for Hassan to get angry? Who wouldn't get angry in this? You guys would be pissing yourself if you were in a situation right now. Like, this is the most unambiguous dog tag. Or sorry, not dog tag. Dog team. Yeah, that is a dog tag. Like, he did it the wrong way. Oh, don't be a perfectionist. I think Hassan's doing pretty well. What's the role of the people on the right? Well, it's pretty obvious that Piers Morgan set this up because he just wanted to get a chance to, like, duo team Hassan, basically.
It goes like this.
I'm wearing this rusty necklace.
Please, can you listen to me, Emily?
Civilians in Gaza right now.
Can you stop doing this to each other, please? Nobody can understand a word either of you are saying. Now, let me come to Esther and James here. This is one of my problems.
No, I want to hear if Emily condemns the
No,
actions of
Hassan,
Israel.
you
Why
will
don't you
please
ask her
let me
about that?
moderate the debate.
Why don't you ask her about
I don't
30,000
condemn the
people?
idea.
I've got two panelists here who have not had a word yet.
Because you're a fucking terrorist.
Please stop talking.
And I think you're a terrorist. And I think you're a terrorist as well.
Okay, well, I'm not the one wearing...
Because until the hostages are home, don't expect the war to be over.
Yeah, I know.
Bring
you don't
them
care about
home.
the hostages. If you
I
care
love
about
how
the
you're
hostages,
condemning
you would
me.
be
You are
screaming at
exposing
Benjamin Netanyahu.
your own terrorism
Benjamin
on live
Netanyahu
television.
is the hostage
You
killer.
are exposing...
Benjamin Netanyahu has killed more hostages than
Hamas.
You need to be
you're
condemning
achieving
Hamas
here?
for not only oppressing the Palestinian people, but for spreading terrorism. I don't see your outrage at Hamas. Israel gave Gaza back in 2005,
I would like to, please.
and Hamas has turned it into...
So there are two strategies that you can take here. One of them is you outshout, and the other one is you condescend and you say that she's beneath responding to. You give quick answers and you engage with Piers Morgan more directly because he's probably more reasonable than her. I think that if you get angry and it just turns into a shouting match, it just kind of becomes a back and forth. But I don't really know how much you could avoid that given the situation. This is a biased moderator, so...
Please, Emily and Hassan, can you please show some courtesy to the other panelists?
Evil in comparison to Israel.
Can you please stop talking, both of you, and let the other two panelists have a say?
Soundbite, Piers? I'll give
them some courtesy, please. Some courtesy for your co-panelists here. Now, Esther, this is one of the problems I have with this whole debate. Is increased.
Piers Morgan is pro-Palestine but anti-Hassan. Piers Morgan is pro-content. This shiftless motherfucker will say or do anything in his shows to get attention. Okay, I don't think this guy is like an authentic advocate at all. This motherfucker believes nothing, or at the very least, his beliefs shift very conveniently. I've seen like clips of him consistently, and it really does seem like I have very little respect for him. He's in the same category as Lex Friedman in my head, though Lex Friedman is significantly worse.
Increasingly, it just descends into a screaming match between pro-Palestinians and pro-Israelis.
That's true, but he's been very nice to Cenk. Well, maybe he recognizes another old fat man who doesn't believe anything.
And the biggest losers are the victims of this war. 33,000 dead Palestinians, over 1,500 dead Israelis. These are the biggest victims of this because you're shouting at each other and nothing is getting... Like, you're completely... Forget having no courtesy for us. You're completely disrespecting actual victims of this conflict, which, by the way, didn't happen in a vacuum. And I think that...
Worthless right off the bat. No respect. Don't care.
That's the most important thing to say about this. None of this happened in a vacuum. Of course, October the 7th was an atrocity, and it was completely unjustified. There was no justification for butchering people in the way that they did. But it didn't happen in a vacuum. A lot of the people that lived...
She's an anti-Israeli conservative? Wait, so is she a Nazi? All the anti-Israeli conservatives I know about are Nazis.
In Gaza weren't even born at the time that Hamas came in power. So I despise this, you're a terrorist sympathizer, you're a genocide supporter, all of this, when really the people that we should be talking about deserve better.
Okay, James.
Very civil, said nothing. Great.
On the wider point of these protests...
Well, I couldn't get to that part because I wanted to describe what the apartheid is, and Emily cut in immediately to chirp about some...
Yeah, unfortunately, Hassan is a little upsetty spaghetti now, so he's gonna be more aggressive.
Random shit.
Okay, you were both abusing each other. It was very unsatisfying.
It was very
Let
clear.
me ask James. James, on the protests...
Yeah, dude.
On the protests, look, I believe in the right to protest. That's an absolute bedrock of any democracy. But I don't believe in the right to support terror groups publicly.
Then you don't believe in the First Amendment. Then f*** off. Then get out of America. Then leave forever. You f***ing kidding me? That's free speech right there. You think that legally the government should be able to persecute you for supporting a group the government designates terrorist? He's British? Then stay in Britain, you f***ing loser. You with your non-existent free speech protections. Loser piece of shit. Banned from the United States forever. Never set foot on our land.
Or to chant about support for Hamas, or to chant about Intifada, which is a violent uprising. Where's the line for you with these?
The irony of taking a position like that on a show called Piers Morgan Uncensored. This weaselly f***ing useless piece of shit Angloid, okay? When he perishes, may they pull his skull from the ground so we can observe the bumps on it that led him to say that dumbass shit, okay? We must understand for future generations what must be avoided in crossbreeding of humans to not produce that result. Yeah, idiot phrenology. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Piers Morgan Uncensored. Here, where free speech is the name of the game. Yeah, that's right. We're here, say anything, whatever you want. We're doing comedy bits. We're saying swear words. Let's go. Also, I think the government should shut down when people in public support groups deemed to be terrorists. Never mind the fact that is literally what the British loyalists were doing to supporters of the American revolutionaries, the Patriots, back during the Revolutionary War. Like, oh, you've been deemed a supporter of the Patriots, you know? Congratulations. Welcome to the hole in the ground. Yeah, great. Phenomenal. No wonder. Thank God we seceded.
I agree. I think we have to condemn what Hamas did, and I don't think the words that have been used so far have been strong enough. I mean, it was the worst thing we've seen in a very long time. It was disgusting.
Followed in severity almost immediately by the Israeli treatment of the Palestinians. 40,000 dead, yeah.
Appalling, awful for everyone involved. I also have a lot of sympathy, if not, I can't think of a bigger word, for the people of Gaza. It's awful, and I will agree with you. I do want a free Palestine, and I also want a free and successful Israel, but I don't...
Spineless, means nothing, useless, worthless person. Why are both of the Brits on the right side of the panel here, like, contributing nothing?
Want innocent people murdered. So yeah, you can't go to a protest and start shouting about support for Hamas. That's insane.
Isn't it ironic that something like this has become a haven for like the mentally unwell? You're
Piers Morgan talk shows? I agree completely. I don't think it's ironic though. It's an expected outcome.
Talking about something as serious as a conflict in Israel and Gaza, and for some reason you have really uneducated people that are clearly 20 years ago would have been in an asylum supporting this openly, not even knowing the conflict, not even knowing the context of what they're supporting.
What? How do you be that condescending while waffling this much?
And for some reason, we even give it airtime. That's what upsets me. These people
so
don't deserve airtime.
Right? Everyone is so triggered.
Like this is, guys, when you talk about getting into debates, this is like the better end of the spectrum right here. Everyone who says things is mentally ill. Everyone's so triggered. We're both centrists, but we're probably going to go after Hassan predominantly, even though he's been significantly less radical than this Zionist bitch has been. You know, this is like the intellectual level, okay?
Good on both sides, on all sides.
On all sides.
And rightly
no, he's such a centrist. Not even on both sides. On all sides. All sides of everything. all sides of everything. Everyone is so triggered. You literally have the broccoli hair, my dude. You literally look like fucking Zoomer Wojak. Come on, man. What are you doing saying triggered? That's like a Ricky Gervais thing.
So, because a lot of terrible stuff has happened. So that's where the emotion is coming from. But really, I think we all want the same thing, and that is for innocent people to not be murdered or slain in the streets.
Wow.
Right. I mean, look, Hassan.
Hang
on, Emily.
something?
Please, I'll come to you. Let me just ask Hassan. When you and Emily go at each other like you just did, nobody wins. I mean, no one can really.
Wow. Oh my. Oh God. God help me.
Really understand a word you're saying because you're shouting over each other. You end up just calling each other terrorists.
Fucking call me Alito Atreides the way I'm biting down on this fake tooth, this fake molar.
There's no sensible dialogue here. There's no constructive conversation. It's just two implacably opposed sides abusing each other. Do you understand that?
What's the top debating strategy here? The tooth.
Yeah, listen, Piers, okay? This is going
on to Piers Morgan Uncensored. After you take this bite, you take a deep breath. It will be your last, but if you time it well, it'll be theirs too.
This is going to always be a very heated discussion, okay? Having a conversation about how heated this discussion is utterly unproductive. Every single moment that we use on air, not talking about every single university building being desecrated, destroyed. The fact that we're having this conversation in the eve of hundreds of mass graves being unearthed right now in...
I think a historical comparison would be valid here as well, where you could make comparisons to the Vietnamese anti-war or the anti-war protest of the Vietnam War, or the second feminist revolution, not revolution, the wave, or the civil rights movement, where you could say, like, if you were in that time back then and all you had to say was, wow, everyone's so triggered, everyone's doing such discourse, everyone's so heightened, history wouldn't remember you. You'd be like worthless to the discourse. You'd contribute nothing and you would be forgotten. You'd be left out of the textbooks. You would help nobody and you would do nothing. I think it's important to remember, like, in a historical context, like when big things happen, like, you support them or you oppose them. You can moderate them from within, but if all you're doing is standing outside going, well, I think everyone's being mean and loud, then, like, you're worthless, you know?
In many different parts of Gaza, around hospitals that Israel had laid siege to, is disgusting. I agree. I came on here, as I have done last time as well, and as I will probably do in the future as well, with one simple goal in mind, which is to address all of the misinformation that surrounds stuff like this. As far as the crackhead Barbie thing goes, yeah, she's a random TikTok influencer who gives a shit about what she has to say. She's obviously doing it for clout. But the students over at Columbia, okay, the students that...
This section is entitled, Crackhead Barney is obviously doing it for clout, says Hasanabi. So that's the segment that we're on now.
That I have talked to at the Columbia University Apartheid Divest group, the students that I've talked to from Jewish Voice for Peace.
All right, Emily, let me just ask you the same thing I asked Hassan. When you guys scream at each other and call each other terrorists, it doesn't obviously achieve anything other than it becomes unintelligible to the audience. You know, is there not a better way we can have this conversation?
Funnily enough, correct. And funnily enough, I have the same exact answer as Hassan. My job here is to make sure that I'm debunking false narratives that Hassan is clearly spewing. My job here is to call out hypocrisy. And I just saw another one where he's saying that crackhead Bart...
They literally cut him? Yeah. Another fun part of going on other people's shows, you know.
Whoever the hell that girl was, is a lunatic, but Aaron Bushnell, who lights himself on fire, is a hero. You can't pick and choose whatever fits your narrative. And I keep on repeating that over and over again.
You think this TikToker is crazy, but you think this veteran who self-immolated in DC is a hero. You can't just pick and choose. Well, I like waffles, but I don't like pancakes very much.
because the Palestinian movement will literally just take what they can get, spew all of the truth into their false narrative, spread misinformation, and then you say that we're the liars. You tell me I'm wearing an IDF dog tag. I'm wearing a bring them home for the hostages that you. No, it says bring them home.
That's a dog tag. That is what that is. That is a description of the type of thing that you're wearing. You just have something different printed on it.
You're using the hostages as a simple political tool to make propaganda in the West. Is quite disgusting. The protests that are happening in Israel right now are massive.
Are a political tool?
And those protests,
what?
you are using.
You think hostages being held by a military group are a political tool? Remarkable. Phenomenal mind. Really incredible stuff, yeah.
Humans in captivity as a political tool. It's so obvious.
Why, Hassan, why are you dehumanizing the hostages? Because I have no problem admitting the Palestinians deserve better. I feel terrible. You're using them as a
it's not dehumanizing them to say this. I genuinely just don't think that she's worth responding to for the most part. I know Hassan has to. It's just like I genuinely think that it denigrates the pro-Palestinian cause to a large extent, that people who are on the right side of this conflict, like Hassan, should have to suffer the presence of ghouls like her. It's like, genuinely, like, it is dehumanizing to Hassan, you know? It's a denigration. It's foul, really. They just shouldn't be accepted in polite society. I'm glad that on social media I have seen, like, just exclusive support for Hassan, because I don't know who the fuck else you would support in this.
Political pawn. If you cared about the hostages, you would be in Tel Aviv right now using the long side.
Let me bring in James. Let me bring in James, please.
I'm sorry that I can't.
Please, let me bring in James.
I agree with both of you.
Sorry, can you please, when I say stop talking, please stop.
It's I like how no one respects Piers Morgan. It's cool how Hassan can't say anything without getting interrupted by the lady. I don't think he's once told her to stop. The only time Piers Morgan has told her to stop talking is when he wants to talk. That's it. But she's interrupted him essentially every single time that he speaks in response to her questions or his, and he never tells her to shut up.
Stop talking. We've got 4 people here. James.
If anyone is using hostages, surely it's Hamas, Hassan. How can you say that? How can you use that?
What? Wait, what did Hassan say that he's contesting? First of all, Israel has literally kept thousands of Palestinians on no or trumped up charges that they have used in hostage negotiations as a potential, like, transactional tool, for one. But secondly, Israel is also using the hostages held by Hamas as a political tool to legitimize what they're doing in the Gaza Strip. What is that? Like, also Hamas is, yeah, obviously.
That argument, that's a crazy thing to say. It's Hamas that have taken these people from their homes,
tens of thousands of people in Israel.
Their relatives.
There are currently tens of thousands of Israeli citizens right now in the streets of Israel, in the streets of Tel Aviv, outside of Benjamin Netanyahu's house, protesting every single day. What are they protesting? They're protesting for Benjamin Netanyahu to facilitate a ceasefire with Hamas so that they can actually bring the hostages home. That is precisely the number one goal of the family members of the hostages.
Who is using the hostages?
And if anyone on this panel was being even a little bit honest, they would recognize the reality that, listen, just listen.
You didn't listen to my question.
You didn't listen to my stupid rhetorical question that's not relevant to the point being made. Let me interrupt you as you make an actual point. Hassan is clearing this, like, effortlessly, by the way. He's the only person here who's made any arguments, and the arguments he's made have been good and on topic.
Listen to what I'm saying, and you will understand, perhaps, what I'm trying to imply here.
That's very patronizing.
Utilizing the hostages. Yeah, I am being patronizing. I don't know who the f you are, and you're over here chirping all the way from fucking London about Palestine and doing a both sides of fucking fine type bullshit where you're talking about how you want to free Palestine, but also simultaneously, you know, both sides got a lot going on. Shut the fuck up. You don't know anything, okay? I don't give a shit about what your perspective is.
I agree
Hassan doesn't
with quite
like
a lot
what you
of the
have
things
to
you're
say.
saying.
Look at Mr. Everyone's so triggered getting flustered when he gets insulted directly. Look at me. Everyone's so triggered these days getting directly attacked and going, I dare say you. I'll get you for this one. Yes, I will. Jesus Christ.
So you're wrong. It's not. It's Hassan's way or the highway.
I mean, you
wow,
are. You
really
are. There is no both sides on a genocide. Is there a both sides on a genocide? There is no both sides.
Well, the thing is, it's interesting you should mention the hostages.
What is in the
both
Hamas
sides
charter? They want
apartheid.
Jewish genocide, but that's okay. But
the
Jewish
thing is,
genocide is okay.
if you're talking about the well-being of the if you're talking about the well-being of the hostages, what sense did it make for the IDF to flatten about 70% of Gaza? Because I completely
Oh, thank God, someone else with something to say.
agree. Bring the hostages home. If you look at Gaza, the topography of Gaza right now, it looks like a pancake. So I'm sorry, this whole argument of Hamas using them as...
Yeah, we really care about the hostages, by the way. Let me also indiscriminately carpet bomb the Gaza Strip, collapse their tunnels, flood their tunnels, starve them, deny them any aid, deny them like medical care, also reject opportunities at having hostages given because that would involve like a ceasefire or withdrawal from the area, and also like, and then shoot some of our own hostages when they come back. You know, yeah, we care a lot about the hostages. Never mind the fact that, like, every single hostage family member hates Netanyahu, like, more than you could possibly imagine. And when they had a meeting with some of the family members of the hostages, Netanyahu's team sent a plant in there, a person who didn't have any right being there, somebody who wasn't a family member of the hostages, who was like, I am here to say, Netanyahu, sir, you're doing great. Great job, Netanyahu, sir. Yeah, no worries about getting those hostages back. I have 500 hostages taken, my family, all my loved ones. Just do whatever you want. No worries, haha. And then left. And then the journalists were like, wait, who was that guy? And he was just a guy, you know?
Human tools, fine, but the IDF has also been using it to continue that campaign. If you were told that...
I'd like to fact check that most of the Gaza Strip is bombed.
If God forbid, if your relative was one of the hostages and you saw what's happening right now, and I met someone whose mother is a hostage, and he said he didn't want his mother and her being taken to be used in the name of violence. Right now, he's sitting at home wondering, okay, what is the logic of trying to bring my mother home when you flattened Gaza? Please explain that to us.
So, can I
Because you might very well pull those hostages from under.
Okay, let Emily respond to that.
Everyone wants to criticize the IDF's response, but nobody wants to tell me what should Israel be doing to retaliate.
Mid, like, crushing the skull of a Palestinian child. Everyone likes to criticize. You know, yeah, always pivoting, never answer a question, never say anything, just ask rhetorical questions, wait for everyone else to have to answer them, then ask some more. What should Israel do other than genocide, huh? What else?
October 7th, eradicate Hamas from preventing another October 7th, and bring the hostages home.
I have an idea.
Do you have a solution?
I have an idea. Do not flatten Gaza and potentially pull your own hostages up from under the rubble, like have been done with thousands of Palestinians. That's a good idea. Yeah. Have you found any of them under the rubble? So you're saying that you don't have an answer. That is the answer.
You don't have an answer. What? You've provided no alternative to indiscriminate bombing. Therefore...
Don't kill your own hostages.
But you're quick to condemn the IDF, but you don't have an answer.
How about not killing the hostages?
Very interesting.
I have an answer.
Thank you for proving my point.
It's called the dissolution of the apartheid regime. That's what it's called. Dissolve the apartheid.
You know what a good line would have been with her? I think you're fine with killing hostages as long as it means killing Palestinian children too. You know, like you'll happily sacrifice your own people if it means getting to kill Palestinian innocents. I feel like she would have blustered with that. I feel.
Apartheid
so
regime,
what would you like to see happen, Hassan?
Breathing room. Do you not understand the English language?
You should ignore her here and just continue with the point.
Dissolve the apartheid regime.
You need a Xanax, first of all. You need a Xanax. Okay.
Is that projection? Because this bitch does look like she might have addiction issues. What on earth did he do or say that in any way, shape, or form describes, like, what's the relationship here? Major protection, you know? He's like, listen, Hassan, you need 5 pounds of concealer and a bunch of, like, moistening, glistening spray, and a Xanax.
So should Israel do to the West Bank what they did to Gaza?
Have been ruthlessly slaughtered by the Israeli state.
Should Israel give back the land so that it can turn into another Gaza? Is that what you'd like to see? Another terrorist haven launching rockets all day instead of turning it to Singapore? Because that's what they did in 2005.
Wait, hold on. What is Singapore?
The billions of dollars in aid they turned into building tunnels. Is that what you'd like to see?
I don't know. Have I gone
Singapore
deaf?
every day?
Sorry, Emily, is the West Bank supposed to be Singapore?
What are you talking about?
Is the West Bank supposed to be Singapore?
The West Bank has a port. They can import and export. Israel gave them a great piece of land. They received...
Yes, listen, the Singaporeans seethe and cope at the enormous wealth and abundance of the Gaza Strip, actually. Hopefully this goes without saying, but like what she's doing here is tantamount to Holocaust denial. you would have to so willfully ignore evidence of the eyes and ears to believe the things that she's saying that, like, we're essentially talking about the same thing, you know, here. Not really much of a difference between this and like gleeful groypers posting online about, you know, wooden doors or whatever else. Just like absolutely psychotic stuff.
Billions of dollars in aid, not only from the U.S., but Israel gave. Are you mad? They had a chance to rebuild, but they spent the last 15 plus years crying that they don't have enough land because there is never enough land for them instead of rebuilding. But that's okay.
I straight up did not process what she said because she's not saying anything. She is not in the entirety of this conversation responded to a single question or point from anyone else. She just has like her list of bad faith retorts and whataboutisms and pivots away from the topic. And that's it, you know? This is racist rhetoric? Yes, it is.
Okay, build terrorist tunnels. Don't build hotels and don't rebuild civilization.
Just
build terrorist tunnels to keep
Palestinians
hostages in.
to have a nation state that they deserve by international law since the inception of the Israeli nation state. What you are saying is insane to me. The fact that you brought up the last 15 years.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did she say that there was a dock in the West Bank, or did she say in the Gaza Strip? Which did she say? Did she say it was she said West Bank, the landlocked West Bank? Oh, okay. I guess I might have like mentally substituted the Gaza Strip in there, since that does connect to the oceans. Okay, just making sure. Listen, okay? It is a beautiful port right down here against the Dead Sea. Okay? Right here. And you can like swim around, you know? That's nice.
As Palestinians crying is disgusting.
Oh, I have one more question.
You are a disgusting little monster who thinks that not offering contiguity to the Palestinians in the form of a state, which is under international law, is just simply Palestinians crying.
One question.
Okay?
This West Bank don't want a two-state solution. They want a one-state solution that eradicates the Israelis, which is not an option.
Fine. This West Bank Singapore, what place does the settlements play in that? Please paint a picture of how the West Bank of Singapore, or whatever, Singapore of the West Bank, how does this illegal settlements fit?
Man, it really is crazy how the twink on the right side just shut the fuck up after being called out by Hassan. Like, actually, just completely shut up. He has not engaged since that. What a worthless wretch.
I think you're completely missing the picture.
Just explain to me how the settlements fit into that picture.
A piece of land. I'm explaining it.
Okay, I'm listening.
The picture is they got a great piece of land to turn into society. And
sorry. Oh, that actually like hurt. I'm not playing. That actually hurt my throat because I didn't expect to laugh at that. So I felt like that caught my throat and like that actually hurt a little bit. Oh my god.
Instead of turning it into civilized,
this is literally what Nazis say about Africa. Yeah, no, yeah, 100. Yeah, it is. It is. This is the same like your civilization wants to wallow in filth. We want to build like glorious Roman temples or whatever the fuck. You know, it's the same. It's always the same. Of course, it's not exactly a coincidence that like an enormous amount of Israeli fascism parallels Western white supremacy fascism, considering the fact that a significant number of Israelis are not only white, but recent expats from Western countries, far-right Jews or nationalists in Boston or New York or whatever the who move on over there because they want to be around, quote, their people.
Society, Hamas, Israel gave the land to Gaza. They
then why
they removed Israelis
It's not Israel's land to give. It's not Israel's land to give. It is not.
What is that? Look at the little twink gesture right there. Look at that.
They removed Israelis
from
land
to give. It's not Israel's land to give. It is not Israel's land to give.
There are no Jews or Israelis. There are no settlements in Gaza.
In the West Bank.
They gave it to the West Bank.
Why is he making this face too? Now I can't stop staring at him. He like looks really fucked up. You know what he looks like a little bit in a way? He looks like he looks like a member of the Harkonnen family, doesn't he? Because he's got really smooth skin and like really sharp lips, and if you could imagine like shaving his head, right, like in his eyebrows, you know, you can kind of see it, right? Like he looks too much like a pussy to be fade, right? But I feel like maybe like an even weaker, younger brother.
They're not in the West Bank.
I'm speaking about Gaza, and now you're
asking about West Bank because I was interested in knowing about Singapore.
I'm telling you that if Israel pulls out completely from the West Bank, if Israel pulls out from the West Bank, you can bet your ass it turns into the next Gaza. The world does not need two Gaza.
What does that even mean? I thought no Jews were allowed in the West Bank, Vosh. Oh, you're right. That is curious. I thought no Jews were allowed in the West. I thought that the West Bank was actually super secret double reverse apartheid, where it was actually the tyrannical Palestinians. Wait, Vosh, I just looked it up. Palestinians don't even have access to that port. It's under Israeli control and is settled by Israelis. The West Bank Dead Sea port? Oh, they don't let Palestinians to the water. Look, again, dark blue is Jewish settlement, light blue is Israeli control, and only the red here are partial and full Palestinian control. It's horrific, you know? I've been there on the Jordanian side. Palestinians can't go into the water.
Gaza is because Gaza has already caused enough damage. If, however, Gaza decides to demand that Hamas removes himself from power,
hypothetical.
And they can have democracy.
Israel has to do a genocide because if Israel doesn't do a genocide, then the Gaza
there's no genocide. The only genocide is the Hamas charter that wants to eradicate the Jews.
Shut up, Twink.
Massive genocide.
You know, it's interesting the word genocide.
There is no genocide.
Hang on. It's interesting the word. Hang on. I would love to get a word in, please. Interesting the word genocide, because I've listened to all this fractious debate, everyone talking over each other. The truth is that actually only one side is publicly said that they wish to pursue a genocide, and that is Hamas. Hamas, after October the...
And only one side has actually materially begun to enact it with mass starvation and indiscriminate bombing. Nice mod. Yeah, he's doing a very good job modding, you know? Yeah, you know, only one side's saying it, only one side is doing it. It's kind of like, you know, going back 150 years to American slavery, and you find like one black guy who's like, yeah, kill Whitey, white devil, and you're pointing going, this guy is the only one that I'm hearing saying that he wants to kill the other race. Meanwhile, and here we find some good old boy plantation owner, I don't want any harm to come to these fine farm workers I've got here. In fact, I provide them the most luxurious of accommodation, and so on, right? You know, not the plantation voice. It's fun! I wish I could do a Foghorn Leghorn voice. I saw the funniest tweet the other day. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. It was Foghorn Leghorn talking to Vegeta. Can somebody find this for me? Yeah, I can get that. Please do. It's very important to this serious debate. There's a few of them. No. The voiced one. We got it? Yes!
Boy, I say boy, your final flash ain't nothing more than a flash in the pan, boy. You missed it. Flew right over me. You couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a blast like that, boy. No wonder you're called a Saiyan. All talk and nothing else. Now pay attention when I'm talking to you.
Oh my god. No wonder you're called a Saiyan. You're all talk. It's good. Okay, I'm sorry. Back to this very serious debate. It's from the official VA. That's the official Foghorn Leghorn? Is that the reason why it sounds so good? It's actually him? Yes? Oh, no wonder it sounds so good. I thought it was just an insanely good mimic. Hell yes. That's like the ascended VA behavior right there, where you go on to then like do your memes and the like the Fivers and everything. Ah, that's good.
7th, through their official spokesman on camera, said they wanted to do it again and again and again. That is the purest articulation of a genocide imaginable. And the one thing I never hear from the pro-Palestinian side is
really think
what Israel was actually... Hang on. No, don't interrupt me.
So one Hamas
I haven't asked you a question yet.
One Hamas guy...
Sorry, I need to ask you a question.
You're being a ridiculous person.
You're being a ridiculous person. I'm just saying, nobody ever tells me...
How many Israeli officials, even on your show, have said, we should keep doing what we have been doing to Gaza over...
Yeah, by the way, keep in mind, the position we should continue indiscriminately bombing is not something held by one member of the Netanyahu's government. It's held by the entire government and most American political officials. Well, I shouldn't say most, because now there's more like wavering for a ceasefire. A significant number. Like, that's the baseline position, and it's one that is unambiguously supported by like an enormous number of people. But it's, you know, like, oh, one Hamas Yeah, Hamas is bad. What do you want? They're not genociding Israel. They did one giant all or nothing attack that was bad, and since then, you know, you've been mulching a bunch of children. Like what? Like that's not this. It's not relevant. That's not. They can say whatever they want. Any like deposed leader, like you get rid of all of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, but there's still one guy in Qatar who's still saying, infinite jihad against the Jew, blah blah. And it's like, well, guess we have no choice but to nuke Gaza. You know.
And over again. How does that not register in the same genocidal intent? If you think what that dude was saying, which was, by the way, ridiculous what he was saying, the Hamas official was saying, is that we're going to do October 7th over and over again.
But he said it.
We are justified in doing it.
But he said, you know, what's 40,000 dead? That guy said it, you know, he said it.
Over and over again. Yes, I find that to be abhorrent. However, what you fail to recognize is that's the genocidal intent, but not Amalek. That's the genocidal intent, but not saying we are fighting human animals. And that's why we have to cut off their food, their water, and their electricity. That was Defense Minister Yoav Gallant.
There we go with the lies again.
That was really well spoken by Hassan. I think he leveled that one out pretty well.
Yahoo
You're saying Israel cuts off their electricity. They don't even provide their electricity. You're saying they cut off their water. They don't cut off their water. You are spewing lies on national television.
I'm talking.
I think so. Hang on. Again, you're talking over each other. Some of the comments.
Army that
there's no doubt, Emily.
The people they're at war with.
Some of the comments.
Israel is.
No, Piers, I'm not letting him spew misinformation.
Caring country on the fucking planet. I swear to God.
This is pointless. We're getting nowhere.
Thank you.
Did Yoav Gallant not say that?
Israel's cutting off electricity, water, and aid.
Did Defense Minister Yoav Gallant say we are fighting human animals or not? Answer that question. Did Defense Minister Yoav Gallant say we are fighting human animals and we have to cut off their electricity? Cut off
so there you go. Literally, like, so she just like, again, this is the normalization of the Israeli position, that she can just flatly say it, like, just unambiguously. Keep in mind that when she says Hamas, she means Palestinians. Okay.
Food. Cut off their water.
Okay.
Yeah, the slight.
You know what? I'm going to cut off.
I'm going to cut off this debate. Of their electricity, the rest is Hamas.
I'm going to cut off the debate because we're getting absolutely nowhere. But I appreciate everybody joining me. Thank you very much indeed.
All right. Well, that was a good convo. I think, considering the fact that Hassan was dealing with like 3.5 Hitlers there, because the black lady seemed to come in stupid, but then the next thing she said was pretty good. So, okay. You know, we'll say 3 Hitlers, okay? I'd say, considering he unironically did like a 3v1 there, I think that was pretty good. Hassan Optics L? Nope. Hassan Optics W. I think that was good. I think every one of you who was like, Hassan really lost here. Either you didn't see it or your standards are way off. Like, if you think like the average, not even the average person, like just a figure in general, in a position like that, could do better than that, you know, very difficult. How do you think you would have done? Well, perfectly, obviously. If I was in that position, I think the main things that I would have done differently is I would have engaged with the one Hitler bitch less and in a more mean fashion. I think I wouldn't have tried to answer her questions. I would have just followed them up with retorts, or I would have indicated that like you don't care about like any of these questions. You're beneath like engaging with, really. Something like that. I don't know if that would have worked. You would have had to like adjust that on the fly, I think, you know, but it could be done. Bosh, every person who said that was a DGGer because Destiny made fun of it. Destiny would make fun of his haircut if given nothing. If he was given a photo of Hassan, he would find something. It's an obsession, you know? Many such cases. No, that was well handled. I saw this old clip yesterday of the woman claim that, wait, same woman? Oh shit, same woman.
At it and end it. I heard a lot of common denominators of anti-Semitism, so I just wanted to say a very easy hack on how to combat it and end it. Part of combating anti-Semitism is stating the obvious. Stop being afraid to express your identity, and this is beyond Judaism. This goes for every single religion, race, background, ethnicity. As long as you are fearful to express who you are, your identity will be threatened. I heard mentions of the Holocaust. You want to talk about the Holocaust. Everyone says the Jews were sheep to the slaughter, and the reason being was everyone was afraid to be vocal and proud of their identity. So,
yeah, man, that would have really helped the Nazi takeover and Holocaust if you held more Jewish pride rallies. This is actually a really common Israeli fascist talking point. The idea that the Jews who were Holocausted were weak Jews who went willingly to the slaughter. And the thing that differentiates Israeli Jews is that they're strong and willing to fight. That's a pretty common talking point for like militant Zionist fascists. So yeah, that's pretty on point for her. So she's saying it was their fault. She literally is. She's literally saying that if they had been more proud of their Jewish identity, they wouldn't have been subjected to the Holocaust, which is insane, but it fits in with their strong Jew, weak Jew argument.